Hi, it's Wayne O'Keefe, and you would have seen some of my videos before where I use a pole and a float. And look, I love fishing this way. The reason being is that the float, for a start, especially in still water, if you weigh it down properly, it's virtually neutral buoyancy. The only thing that's keeping it above the water is the stem. So on a float, you want to bring it down to that point. You've got this colourful stem that you can see. The rest of the body is underwater, which means it is virtually neutral or zero weight. So the fish can pull that under so quickly and so easily, it doesn't feel any resistance whatsoever. When you do that, you've got a much better chance of catching a fish. Now, if you look down here, you'll see, I've got a lot of floats. They're all quite small, and these ones are specifically for fishing with a pole. You get, when the water's moving a bit, when there's a bit of wind and you need to carry a bit more weight, you'll see this one's got quite a bubble here. So that's quite buoyant, so it needs more weight to hold it down, but it works much better when there's quite a bit of wind. But always, you're just under the water and just showing the stem, but that buoyancy stops it from being pulled under all the time or the water washing over it all the time. When things are much stiller and when there's not much wind, you get down to something like this. This shape here, this specific shape, if you like, it's like an inverted teardrop. What happens is it's got a shoulder up here. It actually helps to keep the float above or from being pulled down just slightly, but it's still very, very light. There again, you're only showing the stem, and it doesn't hold much weight at all. And so you want to get away with or try and fish with the lightest weight you possibly can. Now I'm going to show you a video shortly of where I've actually caught a fish with using a float like that, okay? But I just want to show you a couple of other things. I think one of the other videos that I showed you the type of pole that I use. These things, this is only 4.5 meters, so it's for fishing in fairly close. The idea being that the line that you use is about 4.5 meters long, so that when you're holding your pole, you can actually hold the hook here. So you bait the hook and then you just flick it out, and then when you catch a fish, then you pull it up to your hand. So you're pulling it up to your hand or into a net. So you don't want to have it too much longer, otherwise it gets much harder to deal with. So it depends on the depth of the water you're dealing with and how you'll use this. But 4.5 meters is quite deep. Not much water is that deep for when you're fishing locally around Melbourne. So this is a great way of doing that. But if you have to get out further, you can get poles like this one here. Now this particular pole, this is 7 meters long. It's made of graphite. It's quite stiff all the way through, very, very light. It's a little bit harder to hold in one hand when you've got it out that length, but the way of doing that easiest is to have a special type of rod holder. Now, this rod holder here, as you can see, it's got a fork on it. That is to either push into the ground, or I've got a tackle box that actually this slides into. So you can actually slide into your tackle box. The tackle box is made for sitting on, and it has 2 arms on it. And these arms are telescopic, so this pulls out quite a distance, as you can see here, and then this one here will also pull out. It actually holds the pole, so the pole is actually facing the water, and when you fish like this, especially in still water, you'll have the tip of your pole in the water. That holds the line just below the surface, and that way the wind won't blow it around if there's a bit of a wind. And so having this here makes it very easy. You're holding your pole, then you can put it down on this. This will hold it without it tipping over or moving off into the water. It's a great way to fish. And I'll just show you a video where just recently we caught some carp just using this technique. I put a pole out with a float on it just to see what it'd be like to catch a fish in the close in area. I used a small hook and it went under straight away. So, got a little carp here on this fairly light line, and the float presented it so well that the fish took it immediately. Didn't know that there was a hook in that bait or that there was line on that. Now I've just got to work out how to get it in. There you go, that little fish there, and the setup is a float, as you can see there, and a little bit of weight just to keep it down in the water, and a small size 14 hook. Easy, and a bit of fun with a float, seeing it go under. It's a great way to fish.